Say hello, folks, if you can actually hear me. I know that some people say that their live streams could take maybe a couple of minutes to start, but so far, in my experience, it just seems like moments, seconds. But if you can hear me, tell me that you can hear me. uh, okay. Well, while it is still so in my mind, I wanted to recount an experience I had earlier today because it kind of relates to my principles and sort this channel, I guess the sort of the motivation for this channel in the first place. Let me check the chat. All right, well, I am going to start that. Yeah. Okay. I hope everybody's having a good night. I hope my signal is good enough. Not, then I'll record this and then maybe I'll upload it. Won't be live, but oh well. But I don't know if you another video platform called Rockfin. It is a video platform in the sense, that YouTube is one, and BitChute and Josh Who TV. That's the one I recommend because that's the one that doesn't censor. Then you have Rumble. You have Brighteon, Odyssey, and others, no doubt. Probably in trouble for even mentioning this, but there you go. So there's Rockfin, and from what I could tell, Rockfin has a lot of sports teams, single athletes, and then people like Lauren Southern and people that you might see on InfoWars as hosts or something like that. Yeah, strange mix. But anyway, went to sign up the other day, and they wanted to set up a meeting with me. After I set up a channel, they somehow went over to YouTube, or not somehow, but they went over to YouTube and saw how many members I had there, and they transferred that information and other data over so that when I go to my Rockfin channel, it gives me data of what I have. Just strange. But anyway, they contacted me asking me to do a little meeting with them because you can't just sign up and start uploading. And they only they have dozens dozens of channels over there, not hundreds. So I'm guessing they're kind of being a little bit exclusive. Jason Burmas, you folks may know him from what is it? Works with Luke Rakowski. I'm not on Luke Rakowski's channel right now. And I guess by himself and all that. But you could see who's this guy? I don't know why he's familiar. Is he like a TYT guy or something like that? But anyway, they're somewhat exclusive, it seems. Either that or not a lot of people know they exist enough to sign up. You folks may recognize this face as somebody who has worked alongside with what is not Fire Professor. He just resigned and take the politics anymore. The hell is this guy's name? Yeah, Professor Peter Boghossian, in some way associated with this Carolyn Boris. I heard earlier today she was interviewing some woman who was telling parents how to handle the school board situations when it comes to critical race theory stuff. But anyway, Lauren Southern's in here, so not a lot of people here. So they wanted to talk to me, and I think it was Representative and do you remember Tabby, the president or CEO or something like that? He was sitting in on the call. Forget Tabby was perfect. Like that, yeah, somebody at the top. I forget what term they use, right? And so they were setting up the meeting, and it was like, okay, questions for us, and we have questions for you. Business model, and they asked, your content at least. No, it doesn't have to be all, but some paywall could be tiered, starting at $9.99 a month for the customer for your channel for 1 month. That's the first tier, anyway. And I kind of thought to myself, ability. I mean, I do have some content that only some of my audience cares enough about. The whole weaponized autism thing, where I get really super detailed and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I said, yeah, perhaps kind of picture that happening and all that kind of stuff. And so, but what about questions for us? Topic of censorship, and they were kind of basically saying, don't censor, except that we do. Well, what does that mean? They say, okay, well, no Nazi propaganda. And I said, okay, well, but what do you define as Nazi propaganda, first of all? Because, like, like sometimes people have called quotes from the Constitution Nazi propaganda. And so he gave us an example, see Heiling to Hitler, for example. And immediately I'm thinking, okay, wait. So that means, wait a minute, what about the whole Nazi pug situation with Count Dankula? And I didn't get a chance to even bring that up, but I was going to bring that up. What do you count that as? Is that Sieg Heiling to Hitler? What about episodes of Monty Python where John Cleese is dressed up as Hitler and they're doing Sieg Heils and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, and they, so I didn't get a chance to ask him that, and I'll explain why. I was going to get to that. They mentioned the whole legality thing, and of course, you can't have threats giving away people's private information so that other people can hurt them or something like that, And I said, yeah, I understand the constitutional law of what they call, yelling fire in a crowded theater or fighting words. There's other terms. There is certain speech that is illegal, and I don't have to agree with it, but it is true. And I cannot expect a legal company, to just break the law publicly. Like, I can't expect that. Wouldn't ask them to do that. But then we got to back to the Nazi propaganda thing, and the CEO or president, whatever he is, he mentioned what do you call it? Holocaust denial, and as an example of something that they wouldn't allow. And so I explained to them as politely as I could that, whereas it might disgust me, and from my experience, people who are Holocaust deniers are not doing it for logical reasons, but for very unhealthy reasons,
Emotional, hateful reasons.
Yeah, but whatever, my opinion on that doesn't matter. Out of principle, I believe in free speech, though. So there you go. Now I understand that certain speech is legal. Unfortunately, certain speech is illegal, and I understand that. And so, there's nothing I can't, take stance on something and expect, okay, just can't do that. But for speech that is legal, well, that's where I draw the line. Sorry, this is just where I draw the line. And so, I was polite. They were polite and all that. We just both agreed that, whereas the conversation was between us seemed to be we were mutually interested. I was interested with them and vice versa and all that. But then when it came to the whole free speech issue, we both politely agreed with each other that we're not a good match for each other. And it kind of sucks because there's a level of so that's why I put in the title of this video, temptation and integrity, because I'm looking at, what they have here, and what's the term, getting starting in on a company when there's just a few people there. And so, like, as the company grows, the pyramid grows underneath you, lifts you up.
Yeah.
Isn't Holocaust denial disgusting anyway? Isn't it disgusting if somebody had like white supremacist Nazi propaganda where they were online saying we need to deport all the Mexicans? Isn't that disgusting and blah blah blah? Go ahead, Tabby.
No one's saying that's not disgusting, but it's the same equivalent as going, oh my God, all those Trump supporters and all this stuff they're saying is hate. All be removed. They should be banned. It should never be heard. Removing speech, even that you don't want to hear, is now you can't hear them, so you don't know who the fuck they are.
Yeah.
That's a danger. You want these people to speak. That way you can look at them and go, that person not going to be friends with.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah, I can't do that if everybody's censored.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be living right next to a racist and not fucking know that they're planning to burn down your house. Go out in the yard, they smile and wave. But online, had they not been censored, they'd have been talking about you something massive, and somebody would have told on them by now. Thus, you knew that you lived next to a fucking raving racist. But you're not going to get that anymore. So, enjoy playing peekaboo.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather know.
Yeah, I'd rather know. I don't waste my time.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, that's a good point. And the thing is, it's like, I whether or not I like it is beside the point. Whether or not I hate it is beside the point. But but the other point is just I guess I'm trying to milk something out of it. I'm just starting to realize now maybe part of why I made, and then maybe another part of my brain's going, well, you burn that bridge out of principle, but maybe you can milk something out of it, something creative, some kind of content, and go brag about it. So I guess that's what I'm doing is I'm bragging about it. No, that's okay. You're standing on principle, though. I think because I mean, reason because part of the that's just it could be beneficial to society if you it's called setting a good example. I mean that's a legitimate thing. I would hope. But yeah, I mean, out of principle, and I think I explained to the guy. I explained to them near the very end. Explained to the guys that, well, look, I mean, my whole motivation for doing what I the passion, and part of that is truth and facts and logic and all that kind of stuff. But I still follow my passion. It has nothing to do with money. And if I were to say, go along with what your business model is, well, then that would mean all of a sudden I'm thinking about the money instead of the principle, including speech, and that would just compromise doing what I do. I think I do what I do. I think relies upon the fact that sake or I'm creating without loss for result. If any of you guys get that reference, um, it seems to work that way. I guess motivated by. It's kind of funny to say, but I am kind of motivated by the sound of uh, pissing off authority that needs to be pissed off to the point where they go all crazy. I'm not really putting it a good way. How about this? There's been times in the past when I was a kid where I got smacked across the face because I proved that a certain authority figure was being full of shit. And then historically speaking in school, there were a couple of teachers who got very mad at me for and that happened again in college, man. It's crazy. You think that stuff would go away when you're an adult, but guess not. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna check the chat, folks. Orange juicy. Yeah, I heard that. Yo, and we call school board. Yeah, the school boards and CRT, big issue. Um, sup? Great reference. Which one? Nick Nasty quote: if the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation, then by deflation, it will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered. Unquote. Okay, so that's the Jefferson quote. Somehow I got mixed up there. Stephen S. Tell him sister. I think he's. Were you referring to Tabby or me? All right.
What was the comment?
What's up, babe?
What was their comment?
You tell him, sister.
Oh, well.
I don't know if he commented that while you were speaking or while I was speaking.
Oh well.
Yeah. But anyway, and I'm not gonna fault. By the way, yeah, yeah. One thing that these guys said, and I told them I agree with them wholeheartedly, is they said, it is our business, and if we don't agree with something like Holocaust denial, and we don't want that on our platform, then that's speech that we're just not going to allow. And I said, well, yes, this, it's your business and capitalism. It's for you to decide. You have a right, but they do have a right, you know. But and it's so my decision though is that I would rather have my content platforms that are free speech. So yeah, I like this logo by the way. Those conspiracy guys, interesting. All right, folks. Is there anything you want to say or ask Tabitha or myself or anything before we go? And
Oh, Italy apparently has a volcano that's about to go off.
Italy, volcanic activity, and didn't you earlier tell me Spain?
Yeah, Spain was having earthquakes, which can be volcanic activity. But the only volcano going off right now that's showing any signs is the one in Italy, which is close to Spain technically. Like it's on the Italy side.
Yeah.
It's like Sicily, but Spain's not too far from there. Yeah, Australia's having fucking seismic activity, which I don't think is the same plate. I don't know. I'd have to look at the plate map, but I don't think they're related. But that could be China because China likes fucking doing it's like blasting through fucking breaks up the rocks. They love using that thing.
Yeah.
And the first time they used it, they used it in the ocean as a test, and they caused a bunch of whales to beach themselves. Off the plates in Australia and making earthquakes. I mean, it caused underwater. One time they blasted it underwater, and it made the whales try and leave the water.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like they were like, because it's such a sound. It's bad. They fucking ran to the ocean, to the fucking land. Because back in the early 2000s, it was when all the whales started beaching themselves for unexplained reasons. We found out later on that China was using a little fucking blasting tool. So they're probably using that for mining over there in Australia. That's going to be what that one probably is.
Yeah.
Because it's localized to a certain.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be like, I think that's just them fucking using their fun little toy to break up rock for fucking batteries and shit. What China's favorite thing to do is.
If there were a nation out there that would do that.
It would be.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't be surprised. Like, I don't know if they have any places in Spain China owns outright, but you never fucking know.
Yeah, Timothy McCarthy, by the way, says China needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, you know what? Very good way to do that. Pay more attention to what is made in China and don't buy it.
Yeah.
I was at Walmart recently and I was going through all these different athletic products, right? That all said can cause cancer or birth defects. And I was filming it, the thumbs up and laughed and kind of like egged me on.
Yeah. Like, you'd be surprised. Equipment that happens to have black dye on it. Look carefully the packaging, like all the way down to where the barcode is, because they like to hide it near the barcode sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard to find.
So really look, because from China, and that black dye reacts to your fucking sweat and can cause you cancer.
Yeah.
It's
athletic
a biological
stuff.
chemical reaction between the dye and your sweat. Is your sweat. So be very fucking careful.
Yeah.
Things you hold on to while being very sweaty. It's very hot. But remember, they don't want you to know that. It's just supposed to be useless dye. Just dye. Won't hurt you. Yeah, like red M&Ms didn't kill people.
Yeah. Yeah. So last night when we were live streaming, we were talking about different experiments, and that got us in trouble because, well, I got myself a C license material, and that was too much for YouTube. But anyway, it's just very important because something to keep in mind, and something where if if you have those disagreements over the dinner table with family members or whatever, something three things very important to remember. Ash experiment. Shoot, I forgot the first. You get basically you get the experiment of groupthink, right? And here, let me see. Basically, you can get test subjects to agree that something is so that they know is not so because of social pressure from other people. The Ash experiment, a series of experiments by Solomon Asch in the 1950s that tested the extent to which social pressure from a person to conform as actors, then some will start agreeing. His clothes are magnificent when they or agree that Trump is racist. Everything he does is racist when they can't think of one actual concrete example. Social pressure. And the thing is, torture, like extreme torture to get Winston Smith to start seeing 2 and 2 is 5, right? See it, but it takes just social pressure for people to say that 2 plus 2 equals 5. They may not actually believe it, but they'll have some of them will. So it's kind of lying. I mean, isn't it? Isn't it just lying? Being a collectivist in your thinking. Milgram experiment. That Milgram is the name I cannot. The Milgram experiment. So in the experiment, the 60s, that tested people's willingness to others, if instructed to, the authoritative figure tells them to, and they do so, actually refuse to go. They're away. They're administering shocks when they think that pot killed somebody with those shocks, or are well on their way to doing so. Right. The weather is quite nice here. Continue talking for those of you who can hear me, and also because I'm recording this anyway, so I can at least get something out of this. But there are Milgram experiment. They get people trouble. So there was the experiment where people were caught shoplifting, and then they were given an option to get out of it, and that would be the Milgram experiment. So these people are willing to hurt other people, get out of being in trouble for shoplifting from a shop. It's crazy. But I can't help to think how go off to the military for the there's a pipeline from getting in and given a deal where, well, you can either go to jail for this many years for this crime, or you can do fewer years in the military. And that's that's just part of the system. It's just common. It's not anything anybody pretends doesn't happen. It does. We all know it happens. So, but anyway, that I think I do not know the name of it, but there is in which there are real test subjects, and then there are actors pretending to be test subjects. People are put into a room together, and then there are signs of fire in the next room, so there is smoke. People will just continue to sit there, and everybody's filling out forms, by the way, at least in the experiment that I know about. So everybody's got clipboards, they're filling out the forms, and so they have something to do. See the smoke. So some of the real test subjects will continue these forms because they look around and they see other people are not doing anything.
Is cast out a particular signal, the 5G signal. How much
You get the
not real windmills, but those big old white ugly metal things.
yeah.
Those fiberglass pieces of shit.
Right.
Yeah, those are worthless.
Yeah.
They're just expensive, loud, and full of oil.
Yeah.
They're not even in the right current of air, so they don't even really turn. Electricity turns them, so they look like they're doing something.
Right. It's insane to use electricity to turn the windmills.
To make them, they don't go bad. It's a turbine. It can't sit there. It'll lock up.
That is so fucked.
So they're not allowed to sit for too long before they use electricity to make the goddamn blade turn.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and they got to do that is because they're tall. They're too tall, but they're the wrong kind of too tall. They're not quite tall enough to be in the higher. Just underneath it, and starts down and goes, and sit there until we use electricity to move them.
Yeah, have you guys seen the size of these things, man? Woo.
Yeah, and the blades wear out in the sun. So whether you have to and new ones put on. Now here's the fun fact. Those arms are made of fiberglass and never biodegrade.
Yep.
There are landfills with just thousands of those things under the ground, and they just keep putting dirt over the top, mound at a time.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And if that stuff does begin to break down from the heat and pressure, it's just going to turn into a slurry. Yeah. And if that stuff does begin to break down from the heat and pressure, it's just going to turn into a slurry of death, toxic death, refinement to the oil product. It's not like it's going to turn back into oil. It turns into something much worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Particleized plastic is my favorite one.
How you doing, Germ?
Great thing for things to be breathing in and living in. Yeah. You ever seen the fucking Texas desert? Lots of glass and particleized plastic bits. You know? The desert's always kind of sparkly through there. Wonderful. You also see a lot of bags hanging from trees because people just can't keep a hold of their plastic bags in El Paso.
Nice.
Yeah. So sparkly because it wants to be. It's that way because people are real litter bugs in that area.
Yeah. Well, folks, it seems like our signal is not good. Not good. And I've the whole chat thing's going to work out because of our bad signal. And you probably can't hear me anyway. But I do thank you for being with me. Fine. Yeah. Well, folks. Well, maybe next. Thanks for being with me. Take no shit and fight. No shit and fight back.